Today I've got a review of the ReyLight Pineapple EDC flashlight in brass. This light was sent to me by my good friends at Banggood, and what a fantastic light it is. Let me tell you about it. First, it's brass. Just look at it. It's beautiful. I just love the look and the feel of this thing. You've got a little bit of engraving here on the top, and that's the only markings on it. But this is just beautiful. Now this is out of my pocket. I've been using it for the past couple weeks, and I just love how this brass ages. Just really a pretty light. The only negative of brass is its weight. It's not the lightest flashlight around. I like the machining on this. It's really a nice machined flashlight. Its finish is almost like a stone wash. It's not super high polish. If you did want to polish it, you could probably do so with a buffing wheel and some high grit sandpaper. It's really uniform for the most part. There are a few machining marks on it, but they're super, super fine. I really like that it leaves kind of a worn look already out of the package, and as it's brass, it'll tarnish over time, and it is easy to polish when you want to get that brass look back. I like this type of finish for EDC because if you drop it or if you scratch it or anything like that, it blends in nicely. The threads are nicely cut. They're nothing fancy. It does have O-rings on both the tail and the front end. And while I've got this part, here's the emitter. Just you've got a button point in there, so cells go positive end up. The front is removable here, if need be. I do think that'd be quite hard to do, though. There was a decent amount of grease on those threads, just on the O-ring, not a ton. I'll probably put just a little bit more on at some time. There is a spot for a tritium insert if you're able to get those in your country. It's pretty small, but I plan to research that more and see if I can get one in the future, because I really like the EDC this light, and I think a tritium insert would be really cool to add. The emitter and the reflector in there, you can see the reflector, it's got just a very, very light orange peel on the surface. I do have another reflector coming for this light that's supposed to be a little bit better improved, but it hasn't arrived yet. If you're interested in that, let me know, and I will do another video on its review and do a little comparison if I can. Being brass, I wanted to show you what this weighed, and this is with a 14500 cell in it, 3.77 ounces, and I have an Olight S1A baton here, and it's in stainless steel, and it's 3.47. I didn't feel like bringing out my titanium light that's of similar size was really fair comparison, since it's quite a bit lighter due to its titanium construction. Just a little bit of comparison in size against the Olight S1A. You can see the ReyLight is a little bit long for its size. Again, it's that emitter for the most part, but not really a negative for me. I like the tail click. Width-wise, they're very similar. Compared to a dollar bill, you can see it's about that same size. So as I was saying, this light is a tail click light, and it does tailstand. I've not had any issues with it turning on in my pocket, but that is available. And as you can see here, it does kind of roll around. I'll go more on the pocket clip later, but that helps keep it from rolling, and also these flat spots can keep it from rolling too. So one of the things I really like about this light that makes it a great EDC is that it comes on in moonlight mode. And moonlight mode on this light is super low at 0.02 lumens with a 14500. And I'll just show you what that's like here. It is super, super dim. It's just super dim, as you can see here. It is on, and it does work, and I'll just bump up, and you can see. Anyways, it's not super useful unless you're in pitch black, and then you can actually tell it's on. That being said, the three remaining modes are pretty useful, especially when you use a 14500 lithium battery, like I've got in it. On screen now is a table of the light's performance, and as you can see, with a AA or nickel metal hydride battery, the light is quite a bit dimmer than a 14500 lithium cell. With the AA it's got a max of 110 lumens, which really isn't class leading for this size of light. However, with the 14500, it's a lot better performance. On high with the 14500, this light gets really hot. I mean, really hot. I'm going to start adding temperature tests to my reviews. What I did was I taped a thermocouple to the emitter end of this light, stood it on end, and then turned it on for 10 minutes on high, just in room temperature, so about 68 degrees. When I reached the end of my test on high with the 14500, the light was reading 129 degrees. That's really hot. That's hot enough to burn you pretty fast. Way hotter than you actually want to use the light on high. I let the light cool and repeated the test with a nickel metal hydride battery and got a much more reasonable 84 degrees. It's also quite a bit less light though. This is something to keep in mind if you're going to run a lithium cell in it. While this light can do high for quite a while, it's got protection built in. I believe that'll shut it off at 70 degrees C. I didn't see this happen with my light. The light works just fine when it's hot, but it's way hotter than you want to touch. What I also really like is the LED in this light uses a Nisha 219 in neutral white. This isn't the highest output LED in the world. Most of the Cree LEDs will beat it, but what makes it great, in my opinion, is it's neutral white and it's probably high CRI. That's not something that's specifically stated, but that's something that's a lot of other flashlights that use this LED state. So I imagine this is the same as well. One other interesting thing about this light is that it has two designs. Two things have been improved on this version, on the version that went out to mass drop, that are not on this Banggood version. Banggood may get new stock at some point, and there's not really a great way to tell externally without having the light in your hands, and even then it's tough. So the two things that are different are, on this version, the emitter makes just a really slight noise, and let me put this up to the microphone and see if you can hear it. So you can hear a slight buzz. And it does it on the 3 highest modes. It doesn't do it on low, or moonlight, sorry. I can't hear this when I'm using it. I can really only hear it if I put it up to my ear and have it on, and that's just not something you do with a flashlight generally. So I really think it's a minor thing and not a big deal. I also don't notice any flickering or refresh of the light. The other improvement is the reflector. And I have a reflector on order after talking to the gentleman, Ray, who designed this light on some forums, and he's sending me one. Here are my indoor beam shots. So as you can see, light's on low, and it's 0.1 lumen mode, really can't see anything. Bumping up. And bumping up, this is a nice picture of the light. Shows you it's hot in the center with a decent amount of spill. Really about perfect for EDC in my opinion. And then that's high. Here's my nighttime shots of the ReyLight Brass Pineapple. It starts on low, very low, 1/10 lumen. And as you can see, it's on, but this makes no distance at all. Bumping up, here's the next mode. And this you can't really see out on the tree, but you can see it on the ground in front of you if I put the light down, camera down. Bumping up, this is when it really starts to throw. This isn't a thrower light, but it does do pretty well for its size. And this is the highest mode. Now these are all running with a lithium 14500 cell, so this is what gives you the best performance. This is the original Reflector, and it's a nice tighter beam with quite a bit of spill, but really a nice hotter spot. If there's enough demand, please comment below. I've got the revised Reflector on order, and it should arrive in the next couple of weeks, and if that's demanded, I will update this video and show you the results of that updated Reflector. So again, this is high. There's low, next mode up, medium, and high. One thing I wanted to talk about is this pocket clip. I don't have any major issues with it. Some other online reviewers Didn't like that it's a captured clip, so what that means is it fits around the threads of the flashlight, and once everything's down tight, it doesn't move around. I kind of like that. It stays in my jeans well. It's non-reversible. You can remove it, but it will leave a ring around where it's supposed to be in the light, kind of like how these fronts are. I do wish it had a little bit deeper carry clip. I like deep carry clips on my knives and really everything I carry, so I'm always going to say that pretty much. But this, as far as flashlights go, this is pretty deep, and I haven't had a problem with it. It's pretty comfortable to wear in jeans as well. One of the things that I think is a little bit strange here is this metal bit in the end here. This is designed to put a lanyard through it, but it's such a small hole, you're going to have to get a fairly specialized lanyard, and it doesn't come with one. I don't use a lot of lanyards on my lights, so I might just end up taking my grinder to this and grinding that off. I haven't yet decided. So here's the box the light came in. It's a kind of a bronzy finished box. It's like this paper material. It's got a little bit of padding in it. And when you open it up, this is how the flashlight arrived to me. It comes with 2 extra O-rings. That's it. It comes in this padded box with this elastic in there, and no manual. I think lack of manual is one of the things that should be fixed. At least offer an online version. You never know who you're gonna this flashlight's gonna go out to, and it's important, I think, to tell them what types of chemistry of batteries it'll accept, that it gets really hot, things like that. That a manual would cover are pretty important. In conclusion, this is a really nice EDC light, in my opinion. It's not tactical, but instead it's super practical and definitely attractive looking. This is a heavy light, but I don't mind that as much as it sits well in my pocket and is comfortable to EDC. I love the way the brass looks, feels, and shows wear. With a AA battery or a nickel metal hydride battery, its performance is behind the curve and about what you would expect, it's about what you would expect on a non-neutral white AAA light. However, with the 14500 lithium cell, its performance is pretty good. Combine that with the neutral white high CRI LED and a tail switch, and this becomes a great EDC in my opinion. Some people consider the mode spacing on this light to not be very good, but for me it's not been a big issue. I am running it on mode 2 or 3 most of the time, and not running on high very often due to how hot it gets with this type of battery, the 14500. Right now you can only pick this light up on Banggood unless Mass Drop decides to do another drop, which they may. And if they do, I'll try and put a link below. This is my new EDC, and I suspect it will be for quite a while. Go pick yourself up one today. Thanks for watching this video. I'd appreciate a like, share, and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments below.